Like, would you say you're a Pirates fan, or do you just kind of?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I realize you're a Pittsburgh everything fan, but I didn't know if like.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not been all that much fun of late.
Well, that's kind of why I was asking. Was like, is it still?
But I still am. Like, it's part of the deal.
Sure it is.
It's in your blood, man.
Hi, I'm Jim. Welcome to the Unbound Performance Podcast, where we explore the world of sports and performance mindset training.
And I'm Caroline. Each week, we talk about the strategies, habits, and mental framework that help us to excel. Let's get into today's episode.
So,
article from The Athletic again.
Yep.
This guy said he worked with Pete Carroll for years, and let me tell you how he helped me find my true identity.
Yes. I worked with him at USC and Seattle.
From the start, when the very first thing says Ben Malcolmson was Pete Carroll's right-hand man for 14 years, first with USC, then with the Seattle Seahawks. He is now the head of investor relations for a financial company, which grabbed my attention, not just because I'm in finance, but I think it's further emphasizes how you and I would say that this kind of stuff is not just sports related. You are not just like running down one hallway for the rest of your life. This guy went from being Pete Carroll's right-hand man to working at the finance company. He didn't just work there. He's a head of investor relations. Like, these skills that you hone in on and possess take you to different places, not just in one single lane of the sports world.
Yeah, and I think all this stuff, it applies to every part of your life. It's not compartmentalized.
Well, and we'll get into it too, but they talked about the I don't remember how far down, but the eulogy versus the resume kind of description, which I know we'll get to and talked about before.
David Brooks' book, yeah.
But again, neither one of those have anything to do necessarily with your job or with your job title or who you are at any given moment. It's just who you are for your life and those characteristics. So anyway, I'm jumping the gun some, but I liked this one. Did you have something? Did you have somewhere specific you wanted to start?
No, we've talked about some of this kind of thing before, and even referenced Pete Carroll before. But that's one of really cool story was when Steve Kerr was going to be he was named the coach of the Golden State Warriors. So he asked if he could watch Carroll's team. Back then it was the Seahawks. Watch them practice. So he went. He was asked by Pete Carroll, so what kind of coach are you going to be? Like, how are you going to do this? And he started talking about like some X's and O's, what kind of defense or whatever. He goes, no. Everybody has all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what's your
it's a differentiator, man.
Yeah. Philosophy of coaching? Like, why are you doing this? What are your values? And Steve Kerr said, I didn't have any. He told him, like, go back to your hotel tonight and think about this stuff and write some thoughts down. Which he, that pops up in this article where he asks, the guy talks about him speaking at a big conference, and Carroll asked, like, what's your philosophy of life? Do you have one?
Can you say it in one sentence?
Yeah, can you articulate
bunch
one
of hands
sentence?
went down.
Yeah, almost all the hands went down. I thought it was cool, though, that most of the hands went up when he asked if they had a philosophy.
They have one at all,
life.
yeah.
But then being able to, like, really
articulate it and
in one sentence, reduce it to like a real powerhouse mission statement in one sentence is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I know that's Carroll's thing is always compete, 2 words, but that's I think we don't get what that means. This idea that you're either competing or you're not. And you're either like working to like be your best in this moment, or you're not. Then you're not competing.
Yeah, there's no there's no trying at competing. You're doing it or you're not.
That's where he talks all the time, but it's a cliche at this point, but except that it's freaking true. Like about being present, being right here.
Yeah.
Like there is no future, there's no past. They're just right here, this moment where you can control and be fully yourself, and then that's how you can compete. Like fully engaged, giving it everything you've got, and it's in everything you do.
Well, I think that the I'm trying concept, I think people have this idea that, like, let's use competing as the example, that if you're like, competing doesn't mean winning. Competing
Right.
doesn't mean succeeding.
Right.
Competing means what you just said, which is giving it your all, doing your very best in this moment right now. And I think when people start going into that, oh, well, I tried, or I'm trying, or I'm going to try harder, you can compete and still be unsuccessful, and that's okay. And be proud of the competition part. And then you can continue doing that and honing those skills and sharpening them. And then at some point it turns into winning or success or some production of sorts. But I think that's the misconception, that positive results or winning are what define effort or competition, when that's just not. It's nice when that's the result, but
Sure.
the sheer act of doing and competing and putting in that effort is simply that, not anything beyond it.
And then that's where then your effort is dictated by others. If, like, let's say you're playing someone you view as overwhelming, well, then you may not compete because, oh, they're so good.
Right.
Or maybe they're not nearly as good as many other teams.
Drop down.
Yeah. So then you're bored, and rather than to just be the best you can be right here, right now.
I mean, we've had this conversation before. It's very challenging to not either drop to the level of your opponent. I would like to say it's easy to rise to the level, but it's not. You have to. It's easy to let their obvious skill level greater than yours get in your head and make you say, oh, I'm not going to win anyway, so what's it worth or whatever. But it's very easy to drop down to someone's skill level. We've talked a few times about some teams we played in high school that were just like,
sure.
And from by team's decision and coach's decision was like, maybe let's take it easy. Like, but it's very hard to take it easy and still take it seriously, or take it still. It's hard to have that nuanced version of, which just goes back to you're either competing or you're not. While it's nice to say, okay, this team's not good, let's not just absolutely pummel them and be jerks about it. But at the same rate, it is hard to take it down a notch and still execute. Yeah,
it's very difficult. I know my daughter, her high school volleyball team, they had a really nice season, and if they played a team that was posed less of a challenge, it was clear she would get bored. But to her credit, when it got real,
it matters, man.
She was like in it, and she really enjoyed it. Like, after those matches, that was fun. That
to me is the games when I could end it and say that was fun, are the ones when I know I played my best. I played at free flow state, just like it should be fun. If it feels fun, there are even games when you don't win that you can still say that was a fun. Like, you might be disappointed in the loss, but you can still step outside of that aspect and realize that it was fun because you gave it your all. You competed, you worked hard, and you have pride in that.
I know. Well, I wish, I would say for the bulk of my coaching life, I wasn't that self-actualized. I was like driven by outcomes a lot. Like, especially once I had teams that achieved this super high level.
This new expectation. The bar's way too high.
We always have to win.
Yeah.
And probably further on in the coaching journey, I was able to enjoy it more. But that's trying to really be immersed in the moment. Like, the always competing thing, it just sounds like you're a psycho, like you have to win at everything or something, and that's not what this means.
Well, people tend to use like, oh, you're so competitive as like a dig sometimes.
Yeah.
And are there situations when you're being competitive and you're kind of being an a-hole also? Absolutely. There's
Sure.
settings where I think that's where that, kind of dig comes from. But just being competitive as a person who wants to do their best all the time, perform to their best abilities, should not be viewed in that light.
No. Well, and that's where, Carroll talks more about kind of expanding beyond the always compete thing to his whole thing is helping other people be at their best on a consistent basis. And for him, like, that's competing. Like, he doesn't, and I'd say I'm Pete Carroll, but like when I watch someone struggle with no way to figure out how, like, to overcome or deal with it successfully, it's painful for me.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, for me, in terms of my philosophy, purpose, whatever, is helping people be the best they can be, regardless of what it is. And that means, then providing them tools to, hey, maybe think about it this way. Like, hey, maybe you can try visualization. I know I had a meeting yesterday with someone, and he was like, we brought up visualization, and he went berserk talking about how much he had used it. He had done some coaching in the past and how impactful and helpful it was. So that's one little tool you can provide someone, like, hey, try this. It'll help.
Speaking of visualization, for what it's worth, you and I had, I don't know, it's probably months ago now, but you talked about visualization being from your eyes view, not watching yourself on a screen.
Right.
And for a long time as an athlete, that was, I visualized watching myself hit down the line or watching myself. And that's easy because I think ultimately when you're watching yourself as if you're on a TV, you're seeing the person that you admire doing it or the person that you're trying to emulate, and you happen to look like them versus that, you use the first-hand view? I don't know what the...
Like a GoPro.
That's what you use. A GoPro is like picturing like what it looks like for you when your arm crosses your body or your whatever it looks like, whatever your particular movement is, or even if it's not an athletic move, a visualization of what it looks like for you to look out to a crowd of people when you're presenting and feel confident. So that helped me a lot. Just a different perspective on, and I think that's a much more better perspective on seeing myself do it from my eyes, not from someone else's eyes, because ultimately only you can do what you see yourself, but I thought that they talked about in this article, I just went a little tangent there about visualization, but thanks for that.
It was a good one.
Appreciate that. They talked about the deep level of knowing who you are carries so much power because that's where consistency comes from. When you live, work, and operate consistently, excellence flows out of that. They talked about the Seahawks 1 year crushing Peyton Manning and the Broncos, huge win, but he wasn't jumping off the walls. He was just normal happy.
Yep.
And then the year later, next year, lost to the Patriots, huge loss, but he wasn't destroyed as though his life was over. He was obviously sad, but not destroyed. So I think there's that, we talked about neutrality and neutral thinking and sort of remaining in a neutral state. That from an emotional perspective and how you manage your reactions and emotions to things, but also that neutral state of, okay, we lost, but this is not who I am, Pete Carroll. I'm not the, some people might remember you, but deep down he knows he's not the person that lost, to the Patriots or whatever that particular, or the ones that beat the Broncos. And just trying to remain in that moment, happy for what it is, but recognizing that there are way bigger things before and after that.
I pretty much was not that good at that kind of thing. Like that particular Super Bowl loss, we talked about that a bit before, and the effect it had even on the team years, moving forward was devastating. Like in terms of overcoming it, they didn't really. But it is interesting. Like if you listen to him talk, he's always this. All right, well, something good is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of this optimistic approach, and this may be terrible right now, but something good is going to happen. And I really try to do that. It doesn't come naturally for sure. I don't think it really does for anyone. But I know for me with certain losses, letting them go was like, I don't know if I even have yet. I deal with them a lot better. But I mean, there were certain times where I was just so angry, and ripped up about them that it probably wasn't the greatest example in terms of modeling. But I, again, too, like too much of my coaching life, I hadn't done a lot of this kind of work.
Yeah.
Like I had some things that were kind of a natural outflow of my worldview, fortunately. But I could have been so much better about developing this kind of thinking, and coming up with a serious, like, why am I doing this? What's my purpose? What are my values? And I think that would have helped me manage all of it much better than I did, that's one reason why I'm really keen on helping people who are in it now. Look, it'll be better. Trust me.
Right. I may even go off topic a little bit again, but I was reading something someone posted yesterday that I know that was talking about anger in men specifically. That tends to be the number one emotion at the top of the list for your average man. It comes,
it's the only one we have.
I think that's where I'm headed. Is he was basically saying, man, if anger tends to be the output for you before you react and rage and whatever it is, try to see what the underlying emotion actually is and see if you can actually feel that instead of just feeling the anger. It's hard to say though, I think in winning and losing, but I guess this is more of a curiosity question. But looking back on those losses when you were just angry, were you angry at the loss, or do you think you're better able to process it now because you realize there was something else that disappointed you about why that loss occurred in the first place?
How it reflected on me.
Okay, yeah.
Like was
like embarrassment and shame? Like what? I mean, I guess a little therapy session here.
That I failed to have my team prepared.
Yeah.
So I let them down. How I looked, like, I thought you guys won all the time. What happened? Where that's not
we suck today.
I know. when your identity is based in large part on outcomes, and you don't get the one you want, that's
Yep.
a problem. So I mean,
I'm gonna take you back there.
It was I wish like crazy, but whatever. Everybody, the good news is I can look back and like, oh my gosh, what were you doing?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? And wishing I could have been better, but there's nothing you can do about that. No. So what you do is learn from that.
Be better next time.
How can I help others maybe avoid that, and get the most out of what they're doing? That's probably the thing that does it for me really at this point, is helping someone else max out what they're experiencing. And that's, this whole like philosophy, values, why are you doing this? Who are you? It was a great article, and I think that it really matters, like when you try to figure out, like if I ask someone, what are your goals? And they give me generally often outcome-based goal. I said, okay, do you think you'll be happy when you get there? Because that's what we do. Yeah. And of course they'll often say, yeah. And I said, you will not be.
Yeah. Like, surprise.
You'll just have to have more.
Yeah.
And I think going for the next mountaintop and the next mountaintop, that's great.
Yeah.
You just have to be doing it for the right reasons in the right way.
You can't have one that you think is going to be the last one.
Yeah. Not thinking you'll find fulfillment. Like that next one then I'll be fulfilled. You know?
I think flipping it of I'll find fulfillment in achieving that goal versus I'll find fulfillment in the act of chasing those goals is a major mindset switch on finding that's, you know, you're less burnt out, you're less, you know, I'm burnt out right now. Can't think on what, but like you go see what I'm saying. The idea of the act of pursuing rather than achieving the goal itself. If you find pride and energy in pursuing those and enjoyment in pursuing those things, that's the win, not each mountaintop that you step over. I mean, the article ends, it says, takes a little bit of work, but it's beyond worth it. As Pete says to his teams, just be you and that will always be enough.
Yeah. If you're fully you, like, and becoming the best you can be. I think sometimes that gets taken as just be you, like who you are right now, and don't do any work or develop or grow or learn, which I think just being us should be like always learning, growing. You know, it's a huge world with tons of people and great things to learn and experience and enjoy. And I think that's, I don't know. I really liked that article, and I think that's the way to roll right there.
Yeah, I mean, cliche or not, we got one life to live. Yeah.
And we're lucky. Most of us are in a place where we get to like max that out, make the most of it.
Well, the resources we have to learn and be learning and have conversations, just the methods of communication that are available to us to talk with other people and learn from them and ask questions, and books and articles and Reddit and the internet. Like, I mean, there's just so many things that we can take advantage of to just always be you and the best version of you.
No, I mean, I got to talk to someone like FaceTime from another country.
Yeah.
Like, and we got to have a great conversation. Yeah. Like, it was so cool. And that's not something that was happening that long ago.
Right.
So I think we can grumble about technology or whatever, but I think you just have to make it all work for you, which requires some intention and having a sense of who you want to be and why and all that jazz for sure. Yeah. But good talk.
Back at you, man.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Unbound Performance Podcast.
Your support helps us continue to build our community. If you're enjoying this content, please like, subscribe, and share.